hours, 14 hours. Residents are encouraged to come with questions, queries regarding GPL bill and or any other GPL related matter, as GPL's competent staff will be on site to assist customers at the point of their need. GPL is on the move.
Top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Thank you for tuning in to Kaieteur Radio. Welcome to your news at noon. I am Kayla King.
And I am Joshua Van Slykeman.
Coming up after the break, here are the top stories that we are tracking. There is no cap on flaring, says Exxon. Draft local content policy has room for political interference, says U.S. analyst. Meanwhile, budget 2021 passed 4 days ahead of schedule. Foreign Minister updates U.S. Acting Assistant Secretary on Venezuela's latest act of aggression. And ERC Commissioner recommends proper vetting system induction training as commissioned to expire next month. Stay tuned to stay informed.
GPL Public Advisory, major planned maintenance for Friday, March 5th, 2021, on the east coast of Demerara from Liliendal to Success, from 9 a.m. to 15 hours. Reason for outage, replacement of 2 defective GAB switches, retention of 10 pole spans high voltage mains, transfer of high voltage and low voltage mains to 6 14-meter new poles, and installation of 3 RCO switches and replace 6 RCO switches. Did you know? Weekly plant maintenance allows for routine inspection and maintenance of the network to provide customers with a reliable supply of electricity. GPL, empowering you.
Public Advisory. GPL is coming to you. The Guyana Power and Light Inc. wishes to advise our valued customers within the Providence community and neighboring environs that GPL will be hosting a community outreach on Saturday, March 13th, 2021 at Massey Stores, Providence, East Bank, Demerara from 9 hours to 1400 hours. Residents are encouraged to come with your questions or queries regarding GPL bill or any other GPL related matters, as GPL's competent staff will be on site to assist customers at the point of their need. Hashtag GPL is on the move. For more information, call GPL's call center on 226-2600 or contact GPL's Public Relations Unit on 225-1471.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. ExxonMobil's Guyana President Alastair Routledge yesterday made it clear that the oil company does not have a $14 billion flaring cap for its Liza Phase 1 project, as was reported in the past weeks. That figure was first revealed by Vice President Dr. Bharath Jagdeo last year. He had claimed that Exxon was given an allowance to flare 14 billion cubic feet of natural gas at its Liza Phase 1 project. That allowance, he noted, was granted by the EPA as outlined in the Environmental Impact Assessment for Liza Phase 1. Jagdeo's claim were immediately questioned. However, as the former EPA Director Dr. Vincent Adams reported that no such provision was ever outlined in the EIA. Checks done by Kaieteur News also revealed no such provision.
And now let's tell you, upon examining the varying layers for regulation and implementation proposed in Guyana's draft local content policy, Co-Director of Energy Practice at America's Market Intelligence, Arthur Deacon, is one of the firm conviction that opportunities for political interference could certainly arise. Deacon reminded that the draft policy notes that once the Petroleum Commission comes on stream, it would be tasked with implementing the document and its relevant regulations. It would be doing so through a dedicated local content secretariat. That body, however, would be overseen by an interagency coordinating committee, which would be made up of senior officials of the various government ministries and agencies that would be charged by the respective minister to oversee the implementation of the local content policy.
We tell you now a period of 5 days was allocated for the Parliamentary House Committee of Supply to consider the 2021 budget estimates. But just mere hours later, on the third day yesterday, the committee was able to pass a national budget 4 days ahead of its schedule, following consistent disruptions by the APNU AFC opposition. The day began with coalition supporters gathering outside of the Artichang Conference Centre at Lilliendal. Those supporters called for the removal of MP Kwame McCoy, following allegations that he had assaulted opposition MP Tabitha Sarah-Bohaley. McCoy has since denied these allegations, and a complaint by Sarah-Bohaley has been lodged with the Guyana Police Force. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News.
In other news, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Hugh Todd indicated that he met virtually with Acting Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs of the United States of America, Julie Chung. It is understood that among the areas of mutual interest they discussed include regional stability, democracy, and the enhancement of bilateral relations through economic and security cooperation. Minister Todd said he conveyed his gratitude for the continued support Guyana receives from the United States on the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. The minister said, too, that he informed the official of the recent actions of Venezuela, including the incursion into Guyana's airspace, which resulted in the issuance of a protest note.
We tell you now that Commissioner Hash Roshan Khan has recommended a proper vetting system and inducting training for the new set of commissioners that will be installed after the current ERC expires next month. Notably, Khan has recently been very vocal about the commission and alleged malpractices with its operations. As a result of Khan's public disclosure and condemnations, we reported on several occurrences within the ERC, which included the excessive granting of Christmas bonuses, or the instances of unjust spending and malpractices with public funds, disunity, and its failure to adequately step up during the harrowing 5-month election controversy last year.
Exxon's gas compressor fully repaired to arrive in Guyana by month end. Venezuela says aerial patrol is normal. GGDMA issues statement in support of Guyana's territorial integrity. Meanwhile, Haslington man jailed 60 years for killing brother-in-law. State willing to accept manslaughter plea for accused in Luzignan cosmetologist murder. And marks of violence on taxi driver's body in Bagotstown. With these stories, we will return after the break.
Digicel Prime Bundles just got better with 3 new apps. Watch more with PlayGo. Share more with Sportsmax. Read more news with Loop. Listen more with D-Music. Plus extra data. It's simply more bundled together. 51 gigabytes for 7 days for only $2,000. Live the experience with Digicel. Activate today on the My Digicel app.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Following successful mechanical repairs and tests, ExxonMobil reported yesterday that its defective flash gas compressor is now fully repaired and is set to return to Guyana for installation by month's end. This is in keeping with the 8 weeks estimated provided by Exxon. This is according to Exxon's production manager, Mike Ryan. Ryan indicated that the compressor has been tested on the test bench with MAN Energy, the manufacturer of the compressor, within Germany, where repairs were conducted. Ryan mentioned that Exxon had identified all of the key resources to assist it with installation, startup and monitoring of the machine offshore. ExxonMobil has been flaring above safe pilot levels since January 30th after it encountered issues with the compressor.
Venezuela has called its aerial patrol over Guyana's airspace on Tuesday normal. At least this is what the Venezuelan Foreign Affairs Ministry related in a press statement it released yesterday. According to that statement, Venezuela accuses Guyana of intending to generate false versions about its regular patrolling operations of the Venezuelan borders. Venezuela added that such regular patrols carried out by its armed forces is strictly limited to non-controversial Venezuelan territory. On Wednesday, videos surfaced of a fighter jet darting through the skies just over Etering-Bang airstrip. Etering-Bang is a community located along the Cayuni River, Region 7, which borders San Martin de Turumbang, a Venezuelan community which sits on the opposite end of the river.
Lee Charles Critchlow was sentenced to 6 years in jail for the murder of his brother-in-law, Terence Adams. The sentence was handed down by Justice Navindra Singh at the Georgetown High Court yesterday, following a probation report. Critchlow, who changed his plea twice at a previous trial, was found guilty of stabbing his brother-in-law to death early last month. Critchlow was reportedly outraged after Adams made remarks about him being unemployed during an argument at their Haslington home.
And now let's tell you, an offer was made to have murder-accused Lennox Wayne plead guilty to the lesser count of manslaughter for the unlawful killing of Lusignan cosmetologist Ashmini Hariram. This is according to a statement issued by the office of the DPP. The statement followed reports that the murder accused has filed a civil suit in court to challenge the state's right to hold him for over 7 years. Wayne is alleging that his rights to a fair hearing have been infringed upon. However, in response to the case, the DPP issued a statement clarifying that the accused has the option of pleading guilty to the lesser crime. Hariram was shot in the neck moments after she disembarked a minibus along the Lusignan Railway embankment on Thursday, July 10, 2014.
And finally, this time, we end things off with a sad news. A 31-year-old taxi driver was yesterday morning found dead with several marks of violence about his body in his Bagastang home. The father of 3, Roll Anthony Melville of Norton Street, Bagastang, was discovered by his 11-year-old son lying motionless on the living room floor sometime around 8:30 hours. Melville was last seen alive sometime around 1 a.m. on Thursday. It is understood that the man resides with his wife and 2 children, but since Tuesday, he was staying alone since his wife went to stay with a relative because one of their children was not feeling well.
It progresses now to 12 hours 12. It is now time for your COVID-19 update. The coronavirus cases are now at 116.3 million, whereas deaths are at 2.5 million, and in the case of recoveries, 92 million rather.
And coming locally in Guyana, Guyana's COVID-19 death toll has reached the 200 benchmark following a new fatality being reported yesterday. The deceased is a 62-year-old female from Region 4. Notably, in slightly over 2 months, January to March, Guyana has recorded 36 COVID-19 deaths, with at least 3 deaths being recorded each week. Most of the deaths have been elderly persons. Further, a large number of the deaths originated from Region 4. 51 new infections were recorded yesterday, increasing the case toll to 8,699.
Now, coming from CNN, the U.S. shouldn't erase restrictions in place to prevent COVID-19 before the number of new coronavirus cases falls below 10,000 daily. And maybe even considerably less than that, Dr. Anthony said Thursday. Meanwhile, the United States is looking firm to the strategy to administer 2 doses of the Moderna and biotech COVID-19 vaccines a few weeks apart. Still, the idea of expanding the supply by dispensing only 1 dose hasn't faded away. The Trump administration's Surgeon General, Dr. Jerome Adams, said in a tweet on Tuesday that the good protection available with 1 shot is better than great protection for a few. That just about wraps things up, and now we head over to Joshua for the front page comment.
Thank you very much, Kayla. And just before we wrap things up, like you mentioned, it's time for us to turn to page 7 as we dedicate the paper being blunt, and then we head across to the front page comment of the Kaieteur News. There are too many reports of officers in the Guyana Police Force handling abuse matters with insensitivity. Too many reports of corrupt officers letting abusers go because they are friends with him, because they don't think the matter is serious enough, because they think the man and woman story because the woman had complained too much, because they receive a freck because they are abusers themselves. Whether victims are immigrants, sex workers, children, or wife, or abusive policemen, the GPF corrupt behavior cannot continue if this country is to progress. Law and order hinges on the prosperity of our police to follow and uphold the law. You can find that article or that comment in page 7 of the country's leading newspaper this afternoon. And just before we wrap things up here, let's bring to you today's front page comment that is titled, "Cat Will Eat Our Dinner." Guyanese leaders and peoples are focused rather on attacking and humiliating each other, while Venezuela leaders are forced on our land and treasure. The Venezuelan High Command keeps harassing Guyana with incursions by ship and aircrafts. On the other hand, Guyanese leaders are consumed with lowering the bomb on their opponents, with things that they should not be on the front burners. This newspaper and its newscast has repeatedly called for the highest priority to be given the skillful and cleanly managing of our national resources wealth. Instead of heeding this advice, our leaders laugh at us since they prefer to engage in political. They are comfortable insulting and cussing out each other instead of focusing on what is important, being vigilant against both Exxon and Venezuela. We are inviting problems by our petty dividedness. It's just a matter of time before troops cross our borders. We will be caught off guard. Our biggest job, according to the PPPC, the PNC and AFC, is to abuse down one another and get even with each other. If we continue this way, Cat is sure to eat our dinner. And with that, we've come to the end of your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Let's remind you that you can get the full details of these stories and much more by picking up a copy of the Kaieteur News at a newsstand near you, or feel free to head across our website at kaieteurnewsonline.com. I'm Joshua Van Slegman.
And I'm Kayla King.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great remainder of your Friday afternoon.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
12 hours 18 in Guyana and right across the Eastern Caribbean. It is time for an excerpt of the Glenn Lal Show. Let's remind you that the Glenn Lal Show comes your way this and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 19 hours 20. Join us this evening for your Friday edition.
Guys, this is Kaieteur Radio, and I am Glenn Lal.